Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Today I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting chord, or to be more exact, chord voicing. And the interesting thing about it is that it can double or triple or even quintuple as many different chords. And this chord is what we call a voicing in fourths. So let me start by playing it. So I'm going to play an E, A, D, G, and C. I call it a voicing in fourths because the interval between any two successive notes is called a perfect fourth. So these two notes are a fourth apart, and these two are a fourth apart, these two, and these two. Now, let me start by convincing you that this particular chord I'm playing is really a voicing for an A minor chord. So I'm just going to do this by starting out with an A minor chord, and I'm going to add some of the upper degrees. So I'm going to add a 7th, 9th, and 11th. Now because this is an A minor 11th, we don't really need the 9, so we're going to keep these notes. And then I'm going to start moving them around. So I'm going to take this G here, sorry, not the G, but the E, and move it down an octave. Then this D note here and move it down an octave, and this C note here and move it up an octave. And you can see I ended up with the voicing I started out with. So this looks like an A minor chord. But then again, I can convince you that this is actually a C major chord. So it's actually a particular variation of the C major chord, which is a C6-9. So you take a C chord, C major chord, and you add the 6th degree and the 9th degree. This is used a lot in bossa novas, and to give this some. And again, I'm going to start moving the notes around. So I'm going to take this A down an octave, this E down an octave, this D here down an octave, and this C here up an octave. And again, I end up with the same set of notes in the same order. So this looks to be a C6-9 as well. Now I'm actually going to convince you that this is also an F major chord. So I'm going to take my F chord and start adding up, it's going to make it an F major 7th, major 9th, and I'm also going to add the 13th degree. Now, I'm going to turn this into a rootless chord, so I'm going to omit the F. This is the root of the chord, I'm not going to play it. This is fairly common in jazz, where you assume the bass player is going to be playing the root of the chord, so you sometimes don't really play it. And again, I'm going to move things around. Take this E down here, this C up an octave, this D down an octave, and I end up with the same set of notes in the same order. And just give you one more example. Let's take this D minor chord here and add some of the upper degrees, so 7th, 9th, and 11th. And I'm going to turn this into a sus4 chord. So I'm going to, instead of playing the 3rd, play the 4th here, which is like playing the 11th. So you can also think of this as a D 9 sus4. And again, I'm going to show you that by moving the notes around, I get the same sort of voicing we've seen before. And you know the drill by now. Take this D up an octave, and this E here down an octave, and this C here up an octave. And because I have two G's here, I'm going to omit one of them, this guy, and I end up with this exact same voicing. Now, this means that you can use this for many, many different functions. And I'm just going to show you that, I'm going to play a little just progression, which is going to consist of C major, F major, A minor, maybe D sus4. And you'll hear the difference, and the difference will come in part because of the melody I'm playing in the right hand that traces some of the harmony, and also in part from the bass note I play in the left hand. Now, it wasn't the most exciting piece ever because I kept using the same voicing over and over and over again, and that makes things kind of boring and repetitive. So you shouldn't go around using this voicing for, for any chord you play. But it's an extremely powerful kind of way of voicing chords that adds a fair bit of tension and gives it a kind of a modern sound or a modern edge that can really enrich your playing. And it's worth sort of practicing this, of course, in all 12 keys. One of the nice things about this voicing is that it has no inversions, right? It's just all fourths. That's the way you play it. So you just have to familiarize yourself with this voicing in all 12 keys and remember kind of what it can be used for in each form. So this can be used for a C major 6, 9, or an A minor 7 with an 11th degree, or a D 9 sus 4, or an F major 7. If you move to another, let's say move up with this thing up here. So now this can function as a couple of different things. Because I moved up a perfect fourth, then now this can be used as an F major 7, a B flat major 7. It can also be used as a D minor, or it can also be used as a G 9 sus 4. So you have all of these different options with with each one of these chords. And another interesting thing to point out is that both this voicing, which is a voicing in perfect fourths, and the voicing that is a perfect fourth above it, can actually be used for the same chord, right? Because this can be used, you have to convince yourself. Stop the video and do this as an exercise. But this voicing can be used for F major 7, and this voicing can be used for an F major 7. So you have these two different voicings for the same chord. So you can move around between them, and it again gives you a very modern sounding chord you can use in your own playing and compositions and chord voicings. This can fit in jazz and actually can fit in, I think, modern pop songs or ballads if you want to give this sort of spacious sound to your chords. So something to keep in mind and add to your toolbox. That's it. I hope you've learned something interesting, and I'll see you next time.